Does everybody have copies of the annual report, the measurement report? Because I don't have that in mind.
Nope.
No, we don't.
Oh, I thought that was for the property sale.
Hey, I dropped it off in your office. I didn't give it. Do you have it?
I thought it
Mayor, do you have it?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought that was for the,
So the measurement report is included in that.
looked like part of the report.
What's that?
It looks like part of the it's okay.
No. Call to order the Schenectady Urban Renewal Agency. First item is the approval of the January 17th minutes. Moved by Mr. Palomini, second by Mr. Mudaviran. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Resolution's passed with 2 absent. Next item is the resolution for 17-02, appointment of a contracting officer. What I'm recommending to you tonight is Steve Strikeman has done this before. It's really a paper position. Coordinator was going to put Rachel Ward in that position. She's handling real estate sales, and we're using SIR at this point really just to move real estate into the agency for holding purposes and then moving it back out where the actions are either occurring by the city or other agencies that we transfer it to. So at this point, I would entertain a motion to designate Rachel Ward as the appointing officer by Karen Zalewski-Wolzunas, second by Mr. Palomini. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the annual report is attached here with the sale of properties. Would entertain a motion for that. Mr. Palomini, second by Mr. Mudaviran. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I do not have a copy of the measurement report, so we will hold that for our next meeting. If there's any other business that come before the agency, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Mr. Palomini, second by Mr. Zalewski-Wolzunas. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The agency stands adjourned.
Okay, I will call to order the Finance Committee. And our first item is the acceptance of a $25,000 grant from the New York State Department of State. Commissioner Ferrari.
Madam President, Council, Mayor, the Department of State of the State of New York has granted the City of Schenectady a $25,000 grant, and this grant will be used for a youth build program. And this program is to provide men and women ages of 18 to 24 work experience by assisting low and moderate income homeowners with small repairs to maintain their homes and code compliance on their properties. This account will be used through the grant fund MD4.
Questions?
Nothing. I was gonna make a
Moved by
motion.
Ms. Zalewski-Wolzunas.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Mudaviran. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, very good. And the 2017 budget reappropriation for code enforcement.
Yes, Union College has a large construction project going on its properties, and the situation in the code department, they like to utilize an outside consulting firm to accomplish certain plan reviews and inspections. As you remember, we've done something like this on the Mohawk Harbor for Chase. The city's looking to receive about 130,000 building permit fees. What we want to do is appropriate 68,000 to the cost of these fees. So we plan to increase revenue in that code building and permit fee by 68,000, and then increasing the expense for code fees for services by 68,000.
Questions?
I'll move this.
Moved by Mr. Bucciavera, seconded by Ms. Lucy Lewis. All those in favor? Aye. Excellent. Next, we're on to the presentation of the 2017-18 proposed action and call for public hearing. Mr. Eatman. I'm sorry. Sure. Yes, public meeting.
Great, it's the button that says on.
Couldn't see it, small print.
So we're here to present today the 2017-2018 proposed annual action plan from the Department of Development. The annual action plan, the city of Schenectady as a participating jurisdiction receives an annual allocation of federal funding to the Development Block Grants Program, CDBG, the Home Investment Partnership Program, Home and the Emergency Solutions Program, ESPG. And the annual plan outlines the proposed allocations by activities through federal fiscal year 2017 through 18 funding. And the allocations and use of these funds are predicated on the following national objectives to benefit low and moderate income persons, to aid in the prevention of or elimination of slums or blight, to meet community development needs having a particular urgency. So these are our outcomes and goals. The outcomes of the city of Schenectady's neighborhoods are thriving communities where residents and businesses are afforded viable opportunities to improve their quality of life. So the anticipated available funding, the Community Development Block Grant, or the CDBG, we have $2.1 billion, or $2,067,628. For the Emergency Solutions Grant, we have $185,888, and for the Home Investment Partnerships, or HOME, we have $457,457 for a total funds to be allocated or available funding of $2,710,970. The proposed allocations will change based on the passing of the federal 2018 federal budget. Many of you probably are aware that President Donald Trump in his budget introduction has called for the elimination of community block grants, a cost savings according to the budget of $3 billion. So the difference in funding, as you can see in 2014 and 2017, there was a bit of a difference, slight difference between 2016 and 2017, simply because now instead of with the $357,000 in 2016, we had to pay $100,000 back to the city of Troy. Now, if we were to get this appropriation, we won't have to pay that based off of a 10-year payment being complete, and so we'll actually have the full $457,000. So we propose an economic development, the community loan fund of the capital region. We propose $50,000, which is the same amount that proposed last year. And our emergency solution grants, we propose funding for the Bethesda House, for the ESCG of $36,000, and for the CBG of $15,000. These are rest of our proposals for emergency solution. Then next, for our housing assistance, we propose for Bethesda House, Better Neighborhoods, Community Land Trust, Habitat for Humanity, and Schenectady Housing Development Program, for total funding for emergency from homes, housing assistance. Sorry, for total funding, huh?
Is that the 450?
Yeah, 456. Thank you. So, next is public service. We have this part in part 1 and part 2. These are the organizations that we proposed for a total of $304,994. Part 2. We also have about 4 new programs under this section. We have Big Brothers, Cornell Co-op Extension, Kingsway, My Side, for total new funding for them will be about $38,500. So we want to highlight that. And then next, for public works, we are recommending this for a total funding of $1.3 million or 1.2. And then our next one for administration is our total funding for about $473,000. This is the administration for some of the things that we do in-house. So we have the Department of Development, Department of Finance, Department of Law. So our community comments and public hearing, we have a 30-day comment period from April 4th, 2017 to May 3rd, 2017. Written comments can be submitted to the Department of Development. We eager to await your response, and then to give your appropriate response. We have a public hearing on April 24th, 2017, room in 209 at 7 p.m. as the regular city council meeting. So if you need any more information, my contact is on the board. I am currently the Deputy Commissioner of Finance, and it is ready to contact me via phone or email for any comments or feedback. Thank you. And now,
Okay, so historically, we've had a spreadsheet that's shown us the prior year, what was funded, what's being funded this year as a basis of comparison.
Okay.
I assume that will,
yes.
and I can probably provide you the, example of that if it's not one readily available. But I think that's important. And then also, what was funded last year and may not be funded this year, and
Okay.
Questions?
Can that sheet be emailed to us?
Yes.
Madam President, one thing on this, just have to put an additional emphasis on what Curtis's initial remarks were, is the president's budget eliminates all this. Usually we're debating what I'll call minor changes and adjustments to balance the community needs, which we will still do in this process. But bottom line is, if that prevails, there will be no money in this at all.
But to pass a proposed, we need that information, right? And then
Correct, and
we'll find out when it,
that summary is there.
Yes.
and we'll cross our fingers and hope and pray that that's not the circumstance, because that would be great loss to many of our very important nonprofit programs.
Yes.
Other questions or comments?
We're just moving for a public hearing?
Yes. Yep.
I'll move this.
Okay. Moved by Mr. McFerrin, seconded by Ms. Lewski-Wilson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for your presentation. I think you're up next too. Accept the grant from the New York State related to flood mitigation.
Okay, yes. Thank you. I catch my breath. So, there was a the city of Schenectady has received grant funding from the New York State Office of Parks and Historic Preservation in the amount of $22,000. The contract is for the Stockade Historic District Elevation Design Guidelines for flood mitigation. There will be an in-kind match of about $13,662. And the backup supports that, and the revenue expenditures will go to the grant funded amount 6.
I'll move this.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and just before we close finance, we had great news in the paper the other day that Union College is likely to bond their new project through the county, and along with that agreement, should be accepted by the county, is $250,000 to the city of Schenectady. So I will be coming back to the council. I've heard that is going to be settled in April. So I will be coming back to the council with a suggestion that we reserve that for direct tax relief in the 2018 budget cycle. So just as a placeholder, a good thing, a positive thing for the city, and hopefully it's the start of a beautiful relationship. And with that, is there anything else to come before finance? Okay, seconded by Ms. Lucy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, very good. And I will ask Mr. Javier to oversee health and recreation in the absence of Ms. Porterfield.
Call to order Health and Rec, and first item is a contract for the fertilizers and pesticide for the Schenectady Municipal Golf Course. Mr. Richard, how are you gonna?
Richard's not here. The summary is in your packet. This is the annual award for these chemicals and supplies. We ask the council's favorable consideration.
Any question?
I ask one more thing?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Next item is the Schenectady Municipal Golf Course golf cart fee. Mr. Bailey.
Evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you.
So, the increase, we're looking for an increase for all the cart rentals for $1 for 9 holes and 18 holes. And we did purchase a new fleet of golf carts this year. In that little pamphlet I just gave you, you'll see that's the model that we did go with, was from Yamaha. An excellent choice I think we made. The color that you see is not the color of the cart itself. We went with a color called sandstone, more of a beige, tannish color. Definitely more professional looking. Some of the amenities that we have on the carts include, they have windshields in the front, rain guards on the back for people with their clubs and when it rains. Sand bottles to help replace divots on the golf course. They're fuel injected, which is also nice. So the players, one of the main complaints they get is they hit the gas pedal and they just chug, chug, chug. They don't move. You have to have that choke mechanism. They don't have to do that anymore. Hit the gas, goes. None of that stalling out. And they also have GPS equipped this year, which you'll see on the last page of that little pamphlet I gave you. Now, most golf courses in the area don't have these. The only one that is around that's open to the public that does have this is Saratoga National. A couple of the private clubs have moved in this direction, but we'll be the first municipal that has it. So,
to track the ball that goes in the woods?
yeah, exactly. The nice thing about having this GPS is two things. Number one, it helps the player on the golf course, more knowledge to help them with their game. Number two, it helps us track movements on the golf course. So somebody's driving where they're not supposed to be, we can see these movements on our own screen in the golf shop. So with all these new amenities we have, this increase will help cover all the associated costs that have gone up this year as well. I think it's important to look at this as we're not going to be more expensive than other golf courses in the area. I did some research on this. We will still be either even or less than most of the other public golf courses. So it won't elevate us so high that people will say, well, we're not gonna go there, they're too expensive. That was very important.
That was one of my questions.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Sure. Just one word choice modification there. We're not purchasing these, we're leasing them. We went through the cost-benefit analysis, and the carts we had in place were leased, and so that is expired, precipitating the bringing in the new fleet of vehicles.
Yeah, we expect them the end of this week.
So that answered my question, I think. So we're replacing the whole fleet.
Yeah, last year they were at the end of the lease, 6-year lease. And, they definitely saw their age.
How many carts do you have?
62.
So that's enough for a large tournament then?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yep.
There's a maximum speed, right?
Yeah.
The explosive actually part.
Yeah.
We're gonna have people going 70 down the field?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
7.5. And was it, there's two, when you say the whole fleet, there's not two, there's two utility.
Yeah, they're,
Ranger
Ranger
not
Marshall.
part of this package, but all the ones that the golfers use, yes. Some other ones, of course, are off-cycle for just purchasing.
Any other question? I ask for a
I'll
motion.
move it. Last second.
You're not in the committee.
Oh, but I wanna move it, I'm excited.
Move, second, all in favor?
All right, thank you. All right, thank you.
Oh, Mr.
Any,
Bailey, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah, before you go.
Yeah.
It recently was brought to my attention that there was a pretty significant flood in the clubhouse.
Yes,
And we hadn't, I wasn't aware of that.
okay.
So at this point, where does that stand? Do you need parents, do you need council assistance and moving, can
Yeah.
you give us an update on
Sure.
what happened, where we are?
It was March 5th, and I had gotten a phone call from our golf committee chairman at the time, Don Clow, that there was a pipe break, whether it was a freeze or whatever, and it actually was from the sprinkler system. And I came up there and the water was just pouring out of the ceiling. And shortly after I got there, Mary McCarthy arrived, and so we were sitting there watching this water pour out, kind of helpless, and then the water department showed up, they turned it off. But the damage was done. Inside the bar, it was probably a good 4 inches of standing water, wouldn't you agree? It was pretty high, and it was trying to find an exit wherever it could, and it penetrated pretty far into the dining room. The bar was completely saturated with water, the walls and floor. Mr. Legier is here right now, Ray Legier, and his crew have done an amazing job to turn that place around. You know, I've been associated with this golf course for over 30 years, either as a player or a staff member. And I gotta tell you, this is gonna be something that any patron that comes here will be proud of. It's absolutely magnificent, so. Mr. Legier, thank you, because it's fabulous. You won't even recognize when you come in there, that's how nice it is. I think you've walked in somewhere else. So, yep, things are moving on a very good timeline, and I expect that we'll be completed with that by the time we open, May 12th, 13th.
May 12.
April. I'm sorry, April 12th, 13th.
April.
Heart attack. Sorry, Anthony.
It's messing with your revenue. There goes my revenue.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other business for Health and Rec? Maybe close already, we should close.
Go ahead.
Close?
No.
Mr. Riggi?
Don't make a
Can I have a
motion.
motion to close? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Let's move in. Call to order public safety, and first item is Mohawk Ambulance contract renewal.
It's right here.
Mr. Palatico, do we have to take this in executive session? Is the contract?
You don't have to. No contract negotiations,
It's not
you're,
negotiation.
you're allowed to.
Contract, basically, renewal of the contract. This is renewal.
I'm putting forth the contract for the approval of the council. If there are some questions that come up that executive session, we could move appropriately. If not, we could just handle the whole thing in public session.
Last time I handled it in public session, it's basically a contract renewal. It's not a new contract by any means. Mohawk Ambulance, as most people know, they supply the transportation sick here in the city. It's again a contract that we've had for several years. It's due on every 3-year cycle. We've made no changes to the contract other than basic dates, minor changes, that sort of thing. So, again, we've used Mohawk Ambulance for the 30+ years that I've been here. We have a good relationship with them. It's a city-ran business. And it's a contract renewal. It's not a new contract by any means. You happen to answer any questions that you have on the contract that we use Mohawk exclusively, and we always have.
And this is a renewal for the next 3 years.
Next 3 years, a 3-year contract starting now.
Okay. Any question?
Contracts on a 3-year cycle, and it happens each year.
Call for motion?
There's also representatives of Mohawk here, so ask for any questions.
I think it's standard, it's just, renewal, nothing has changed, so,
I'll move it.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Senator.
I just wanted to add that old dude with Cheer did a decent job over there. Fire department kicked off the whole project. Good job.
Compliments.
As always, thank you.
Got left out of that one.
I know. Any other business for public safety? I ask for a motion.
Oh, sorry, I move it.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I'd like to open public service and utilities. And Mr. Wallen?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. This is, what you have in front of you is a master agreement with New York State DOT for the Erie Boulevard pavement preservation project. That will be beginning the next couple of months on Erie Boulevard between Union Street and the new roundabout. So one clarification I just want to make sure that I make is on your legislative request, just to make sure. It talks about the federal funding, 1.517, that is correct. However, if you notice in your agreement, there also is considerable local share comprised of both borrowed funds from the previous Erie Boulevard project and sewer money, as we're going to be making repairs to the sewer lines. So the total value of the project is actually $5 million, not 1.5. So it's a large local share, reason being that we're in an era where the federal government does not contribute as much money. We were fortunate to have leftover borrowed proceeds previous capital project where we did not have to bond any new money. We also have the sewer money. We're working on the water line right now. So Department of Transportation is letting us fast track this, which is why you're seeing a master agreement before we actually have a bid going, because they want to keep everything kind of working on an expedited process for us so that we can make sure that we get this work completed.
Questions? This one, good job.
Yep, a lot of people are looking forward to this, this project. So.
Entertain a motion.
I just have a question. So, let me just recap. So you said the total project is $5 million?
Yes.
And 1.5 million
That's
is
the
coming?
federal money that.
Federal money.
Yes.
And the balance is coming from?
Both the existing capital funds that we had borrowed for the previous and from the sanitary sewer we're using. We're going to be cured in place lining all the sanitary lines and then these storm lines. So we've been doing a lot of work out there at night that you haven't been seeing, both sanitary and water. So right now we're doing the water, hoping to have the water line done in 2 months, and right when the water line is done, we can have the contractor ready, mobilized, start doing the streetscape. Just for your information too, this project is going to go knock on wood a little smoother than the other, because this is not a road reconstruction. This is a mill.
Okay.
So we're not going down 24 inches. Money does not exist anymore for that kind of reconstruction. So what we're going to be doing primarily, you're going to see curbs, the sidewalks, the smart lighting, LEDs. We're going to have some traffic calming out there, new signals, all those things. They're more surface style improvements.
we really don't have the budget to be able to go into what we did. That was a $10 million project previously. So that type of federal money just doesn't exist anymore. So that's what this is, a pavement preservation project for the city.
How long is this going to take? What's your
We're
timeframe?
anticipating it's going to start in June and go right through October.
We're going to reline the sanitary line?
Yes.
Okay, entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Moody. Oh,
It's you, that's-
me. I'll second. It's not here. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay, next up is dumpsters in residential neighborhoods, Mr. Riggi.
This is an issue that's, actually, it's one dumpster, there's a couple of them, but it's not covered in city code, and maybe it's, dumpsters are covered in commercial zone areas, but not in residential, believe it or not, as far as being screened off and where they can be placed. So it's been an issue, and there's an issue on Fifth Avenue, one that's been, it's there, it's not there, they've been cited, because doing the research is covered in the waste collection, it's covered, where a waste supervisor can look at it and say, it's not appropriate for it to be here. So what's happening, and I talked to Dominic this afternoon, I think somebody from Code went there and talked to him. This has been ongoing for probably 8 months now. Somebody from Code went there and talked to the person, and they did move it to the rear of the property. But from what Dominic told me, a guy wants to park there, so he drags it out and puts it on the side of Fifth Avenue. It's almost in the city right away, but it's not. And then he parks his car where the dumpster should be. So this is ongoing, but it's not covered in code as far as a zoning issue where it should be screened off. And it seems like it should be screened off. And there's one in Bellevue too, on the corner of 3rd and Broadway. There's one that's right on the corner that's usually a mess. And the lady next door is complaining because it smells, that's the other reason. She gets quite an odor out of this. So I don't know if something we want to consider for a zoning change with dumpsters in residential neighborhoods, because it seems kind of crazy that it isn't covered, to have a dumpster in a residential area. I don't know, maybe a law can take a look at it and see if there's any, if it is there. I can't find it. When I talked to Christine, she said it's not there. And it looks like it isn't there. It's only in commercial zoned areas, dumpster rules. So just something I think we maybe should discuss and think about.
Okay.
Lisa's got it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So just for clarification, because this came up during legislative conference, you're talking about actual dumpsters, not roll-offs, right?
Right.
Like not a temporary where
Right.
somebody was
Right.
doing, cleaning out of their house. or
They're
whatever.
dumpsters for
Yep.
trash.
And is this?
It's too bad it's not more advantageous for the
Right.
city to do this too,
Yeah.
to offer this service.
Is it just as easy as adding the word commercial and residentially zoned areas with public hearing and be done with it? I mean, it makes sense to me. Shouldn't they be regulated, especially in residential areas?
Yeah, it would be just that easy, but what I'd like is, give me a chance, I'll check out the code, see, make sure that there's nothing already on the books in some section that covers this instance, and I can come back with a recommendation and discuss it with the mayor a little bit on what I think would be the easiest way to solve the problem.
Is it efficient to call for a public hearing tonight and then we can pull it if we need to?
It's certainly an option, but that's where I'm going.
I don't know how the rest of the council feels about it.
Harm no foul, I guess we
All
can do
right,
it.
so then if we could move forward with that, and we'll call for a public hearing. And if need be, we'll not do it if we can't find the appropriate language. But,
We just pull that. That's not-
all right,
Yeah, that'll, because it takes a couple slides.
yeah, no, that's fine.
And it's getting warm.
Just
I'll
need to
move
move
the
on.
call.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's hard when there's one missing. So is everybody else?
We can say that.
Can I have a motion to close public?
I move we adjourn.
Okay, I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right, and I will call to order government operations. The first item is the Affirmative Action Advisory Board. Mayor McCarthy.
Submitted to your
or
Just a reappointment.
Is, I don't know if that's attached.
do we didn't receive that. Can you just give us some information on?
Get a resume for Monday, I believe she's a reappointment. Other issue for the other track then.
Okay. Can you just get a little more information, and I don't mind passing it out of committee while we, wait.
I'll move it.
But are you sufficient with the resume? Do you want her here Monday night? But
No, I think a resume and just let us know whether it's a reappointment or not would be fine.
I still move.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The next is a ceremonial resolution for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. There's some information in your packet. It is also in conjunction with, well, they'll be coming to the council meeting, but also having an event on Tuesday the 11th. So, we need a motion for that. Unless there's questions.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And next is a ceremonial resolution for the 90th anniversary of Schenectady Light Opera Company.
Pretty self-explanatory. They just had their 90th anniversary and their gala, and this would recognize them for 90 years within Schenectady.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next is actually not a discussion, it's really just an announcement, because we're missing 2 council members tonight. I wanted to update our citizens that have been coming to the rail that the majority of the council now would like to discuss this. I know that Ms. Palmeni, Ms. Luskowitz, Mr. Mujverin, and Mr. Kosher worked on something they proposed that will be brought to the table in 2 weeks. I know Ms. Porterfield also has some proposed language to bring to the table, and I also. So the only reason I'm putting this off is I feel like it's important for the entire council to be at the table for this discussion, and we are missing 2 of our members this week. So I want to let the citizens know that we will be discussing it on the April 17th agenda.
Well, I would like to just pass these out. I mean, everybody's got a copy of this via email.
Yep, you're welcome to pass it out, but we just won't be discussing it this evening.
Well, you're the one that's brought it up at the last 2 council meetings, and we're not asking for a vote.
That's
Marion will
fine.
still be able to discuss it when she gets
It's not on the
there.
agenda for discussion tonight, but I appreciate that.
But there were 4 people who asked for it to be on agenda.
I understand.
Well,
But
just
actually,
making
I
it
set
clear
the
for
agenda.
people, let them know
Okay. I
that
think
you're
it's
not
important
letting
to
it.
have all of us at the table. No, it's not that I'm not letting it being discussed.
Sure
Mr.
it is.
Palmeni. I called for a discussion for several.
And you could have put it on the agenda at any point, and you didn't.
If the majority of the council doesn't want to discuss it, there's really no sense in having it on the agenda.
No, you asked
Now
if
that
there
the
was
majority
support
of the
for
council would like to
sanctuary
discuss it,
city status, which there is not.
I'm quoted in the paper of actually asking for discussion all the way across the board for all of the opportunities or all the possibilities that the council might consider.
And you asked, you asked if there was support for sanctuary city status, which there was not. Here we come with a discussion item and you don't want to discuss it. Yet you want to play it both sides, that's fine, but let's just make it publicly aware.
Mr. Palmeni, let me make it clear to you that I'm not playing both sides. I think all of us should be at the table for this discussion. And at the top of the agenda that you'll see that I reserve the right to add or delete any agenda item. This is my decision that I will make publicly, that I want all of us here to discuss it.
That's fine,
I'm
just
happy
making
for
it
you to
aware
share
that
your
this has
information.
been brought forward
Thank
and
you.
you have
That's
not
very
allowed it to
helpful.
be discussed.
On to ceremonial street naming of a section of North J Street.
Just before you proceed. So we're going to add immigration support on the next cycle.
Yes.
No, what do you mean by immigration support?
We're going to talk about all the possibilities that people would like to bring to the table, including your resolution, including Ms. Porterfield's wording, including any other examples that would like to be brought to the table. And we'll come to consensus as to what the council as a majority might feel comfortable with going forward. And it'll be a collective decision with everybody present, as it always has been recommended and presented. So, on to ceremonial street naming of a section of North J Street. A lot of citizens out there have done a lot of very hard work to collect a lot of signatures. And we have one of them here this evening. and we have a letter here from Mr. Larriman. And they're proposing that they do a renaming of this, a ceremonial renaming of a portion of North J for Don Birch. And they have submitted, I believe, 1,000 signatures in Laura? 2,000? Excellent work. Good for you. Certainly is an indication of how important this is to people. So I thank you for all your hard work. And we do need to, in accordance with the legislation, call for a public hearing. So that's why this is on the agenda this evening. So if I can have a motion to call for public hearing.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Woolsey, seconded by Mr. Palomeni. All those in favor? Thank you. And thank you. It means that not this Monday, but in 2 weeks from this next Monday, we'll have a public hearing where people can come and speak on whether they support it or whether they don't. And the council will take that information. So it's just part of the process.
Okay, now,
I can't actually have any back and forth conversation during this meeting, but I would be happy to answer any questions that you have. My contact information is on the website, or if you're going to be here later. Is your contact information on the letter?
That's me on there.
Okay, I'll reach out to you.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Okay, on to the zoning change request for the parcels on Erie Boulevard. And that is Mr. Eatman. We're really putting you through the paces tonight.
Thank you. Again, to have before you, the Department of Development has received a request to change the zoning of several parcels on Erie Boulevard. The request is being made to allow for future development that is not permitted by the current zoning designation property. The current zoning of the property is C4, Downtown Commercial District. The proposed zoning is a C3 waterfront mixed use district.
Questions? Yes, Mr. Riggi.
It's come to my attention, what went before the zoning board? For variance? What did the zoning board deny?
I do not know.
I can answer that question.
Yep.
The zoning board denied a variance for restriction on having a drive-through venue at that location. And there's a 4-prong test you have to meet in order to get a variance in that situation. One of the prongs shows that it's going to be a financial hardship where you're not going to get a reasonable return on your property. And that's a really hard prong to meet because it's hard to show what you could do with the property without getting that variance, what you can do with it and things like that. So that's why the zoning board made their decision on that, but that doesn't mean that we're not supporting the overall project here.
Ms. Woolsey.
So if we change the classification, this will allow them to move forward with their development project?
It would still need to be reviewed by the planning commission for a special use permit.
Okay.
So just doing this doesn't allow to happen. But it would be the same zoning that they have right next door at the Mohawk Harbor site. So they go through the same process as somebody, right across the street. So
just for classification, this is adjacent to the Mohawk project?
correct.
Okay.
Mr. Palomeni.
It's literally like 50 feet,
Yeah, I
right?
was gonna say, it's,
Yeah.
You throw a stone that way.
I just wanna let everybody know.
Yeah, and this wouldn't interfere with any neighborhoods, right?
I personally don't think so.
Right. Well, I'm looking at the map, I just wanted your legal opinion, so, yeah, this makes sense, total sense to do.
Mr. Pelatico, are there any businesses under this particular zoning code that might not necessarily fit in that area for any reason that the council should consider?
Off the top of my head, I don't know of any, but what I can tell you is the first step here is this gets referred to the planning commission. So the planning commission has to review it. If they have concerns, they'll raise them and they'll make a recommendation to the council on whether or not you should support this. It's the same process that we went through when they rezoned Mohawk Harbor back in 2015. So you're not deciding right now to accept it or not, this is just refer to them for a recommendation.
Sounds good?
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Palmetti, seconded by Ms. Zaluski-Lazunas. All those in favor?
Aye.
And we're on to the, I believe, same type of zoning change request for parcels on Maxon Road.
Yes, the Department of Development has received another request for changing of zoning of 3 parcels on Maxon Road. The request is made to allow future development that is not permitted by the current zoning designation of these properties. The current zoning of the properties is an M1 light manufacturing and warehouse district and M2 manufacturing and warehouse district. The proposed zoning is a C3 waterfront mixed use district.
Questions on this one? Basically the same.
Yeah,
I'll move it.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Next up is parkland alienation in Quackenbush Park. I don't believe Mr. Trump is here. I'm not sure who's going to speak to this.
I can address this. This is, if people are familiar with Quackenbush Park, it's between Mount Pleasant Middle School, French Street goes over the bridge. The Boys and Girls Club is looking to put a new facility into where that rear parking lot where the Quackenbush Park is and where you went rear Mount Pleasant Middle School. Because it's designated parkland, we're looking to carve out a small portion and have that alienated, and it requires action by the state legislature. This is I think it's really a great project by the Boys and Girls Club, working in conjunction with the school district, and also where they manage our swim program in the park during the summer. State legislature historically requires when you alienate some parkland, that you create an equal amount or greater someplace else. And we're looking to do that in the area of Liberty Park on State Street, Washington Avenue, so that where we realign this to allow the Boys and Girls Club to have site control to put up their building. Public, I don't think, is really going to notice any change in terms of the park or the school, but will meet the technical requirements of work that's being done on Lower State Street, Washington Avenue.
And it's my understanding that the pool stays intact, the playground stays intact.
Yes,
All of that will stay just as it is.
exactly.
Questions?
There may be some modifications or improvements with access and sidewalks and appropriate landscape.
Mr. Riggi?
With the conversion, if a conversion is necessary, was there ever any federal money to Quackenbush that you know of? Because I think that's where a conversion is required. And if it's going to happen anyhow, that's fine, but it may be required.
Don't believe so. But that's, I don't know if we've gone back into the 60s, stuff where.
Yeah, if there's ever any federal grant money.
Even though there's, some of those expire after a certain amount of time. They have something, 50 years ago.
Because I think that's where a conversion is required from my recollection of alienation.
Well, some of it is correct, but sometimes the state legislature just is.
They'll require it.
Right, just as standard procedure to preserve equal amount of parkland with the state.
Other questions? Very exciting project ahead of us. So this is a good thing. I'll look for a motion. Moved by Ms. Zaluski-Lazunas, seconded by Mr. Palmetti. All those in favor? Aye. And I believe the rest of the agenda is executive session, Mr. Pellegrino?
That is correct.
All right, so I will ask for a motion to go into executive session. Moved by Ms. Zaluski-Lazunas, seconded by Mr. Palmetti. We are in executive session.